Orondaam Otto is a social entrepreneur, development consultant, and educator with 2 decades of social sector experience and engagement across the private and public sectors. In 2012, following the increasing number of out-of-school children, Orondaam founded Slum to School to support the education of children living in slums and underserved communities. Slum to School has grown to become one of Africa's leading volunteer-driven developmental organizations, providing educational scholarships and supporting over 500,000 children at various levels of development. Orondaam was named as one of the global 100 most influential people of African descent in support of the International Decade for People of African Descent by the United Nations General Assembly.
And Brume is the executive director of the Brume Foundation, one that was named in memory of her late brother, Ovie, who was a strong advocate for the voiceless. The foundation is a youth-focused organization providing free educational, social, and recreational programs and activities for children from low-income homes. Its objective is to create a positive and safe environment where youths have access to a wide range of structured character-building activities, meet appropriate role models, and obtain support and counseling at no cost to them. Many recipients of this foundation have gone on to do great things based on the background they were given from the NGO. It has exposed them to opportunities and skills of growth, so much so that they too, in their own little ways, have spread the same love to those whose lives they can also help change for the better. Both Otto and Ese have joined us now to have a conversation in the spirit of giving.
Welcome.
Welcome, guys.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Beautiful, thanks for the introduction, and beautiful to be here again.
Okay.
It's always a beautiful space.
Yes, especially now that we're talking about the spirit of giving. Mm-hmm. This is the festive season. So obviously this is something that you guys do for a living, as in you do it on an everyday basis. Do you understand? And I want to start with you, Ese. I know that there was a very profound reason why your organization was created.
Yes.
Can you please, give us a background on that?
Okay, so it was the year 2002. I personally got a phone call from my sister Ofoe saying that our brother Ovie was no longer, did not wake up from his sleep.
Wow, how old was he?
He was 29 years old.
Oh,
he was 29. It was quite shocking because he was our sunshine. Ovie was our sunshine.
Imagine.
He was he had returned to Nigeria to set up his business, Afridac it was called, working in finance. He worked with my mother. He was very passionate about children. Really, he would go take children on the streets to play basketball. He would even go to Majekodunmi, we realized later on, to counsel like old teenagers, to give them advice on okay, this is what you should do, don't do that, So just a very big heart he had. So we were all really shocked when he passed away, but we were like, what can we do?
In memory of him.
Yes, to keep him alive. To keep him alive. And so my mother and us, the sisters, we got together and started the Brume Foundation. So we started in a little, my mom just gave her house. She had a house in Victoria Island. She said, let's use the house as the youth center. So we started like that. 2003. We only had maybe 20 youth members.
How did you get them?
Okay, we reached out to the schools because as we are focusing on low-income children, people who are really in need, we went to the public schools around in Victoria Island. So VIS, Victoria Island School, there's Kuramo Primary and Secondary School. We interacted with the educational district, SUBEP, and with the principals are like, yes, okay, your students can start coming to your youth center.
So they chose the students?
Yeah, how were they selected?
They recommended the students to you?
Yes, they did at first. And then, but with the years going by, the students, they even fight to come to the
Select
center.
them? Who gets to come in?
We let everybody in.
Okay.
And then it depends on regularity, you know, because we do have programs, after school programs, maths, English, ICT, computer, you know, and then dance, music and dance. Of course, everyone wants to come and do dance, you know, but we're like, you can come and do dance, but you also have to do ICT. You also have to do English. You also have to do maths.
But aren't you swamped?
Yeah.
No, we aren't. It depends. When it's time to because on Wednesdays we give them food. So we've noticed that there's a big rise in the number of children when it comes to feeding. But we let them in, you know. But and it's true that we are not that we have a security, not a bouncer, but we do have to
yes, because you have to
manage. Anyone that attends a public school can come to your center at any time.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, they can.
Okay.
They can.
That's good.
They can. They do.
Now, for Autumn, for you, for instance, I know that your Slum to School is all over, it's not just in Nigeria, it's all over Africa. And in fact, I think United Nations gave you an award as one of the global influencers of African descent, which of course is no small feat. Now, like SA, you two must have had a reason why you got into philanthropy. So can you tell us how you got into it when you first started and the challenges that you faced when you initially began?
So I have been all my life. Slum to School is going to be 11 years in about a month. But before Slum to School had started in 2012, I had been involved in the social sector right from when I was a teenager. I grew up in a family that was very big on helping. My dad and my mom, when it's Christmas, we have all the neighbors and all the cousins and friends coming around. So that was something we grew up learning, the importance and the relevance of giving and helping. My mom, even if it's the last money she has, when a friend comes and says, "I need money," she will tell us, "Go and bring that money." And even if that's the last money in the house, so I learned the importance of giving. I was privileged to have great education by my parents, and I understood the value of education. I had seen firsthand how important education could be in transforming the life of a person, an individual, a community, a family,
and a
nation at large, right? And so it was a no-brainer for me to in fact, it was a shocker going into the Makoko community during my national youth service in 2011 and realizing that there were thousands of children who were not in school because I grew up knowing that every child must be in school.
Yeah.
Even if my dad doesn't have money, he would make sure our school fees are paid.
That was priority.
That was priority. That was the most important, his greatest goal, to make sure that we got the best education. And I was posted to Lagos for my national youth service, working in a bank. As COP members there, we earned pretty much among the best. Working in the bank, we earned pretty much, the above average of what every other COP member. So it was pretty a decent job, very comfortable. And every other Thursday, I would have an opportunity to go for my CDS. And so I'll go into several communities. I did a lot of programs, but I didn't start doing them during my NYSC. Throughout my stay in secondary school, in the university, I was involved in several youths.
Wow, even at that young age.
Yeah, from 15, 14, 16, I led organizations locally, internationally. I was involved in various social, sector organizations, from the Red Cross to a number of them. And Makoko was the first community that really opened my eye to the state of underdevelopment in Nigeria.
Makoko is the one above the water, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Tell us how you navigated that part.
So the Makoko story started from, I think, 2009 or 2010 when I watched the documentary. I think I've spoken about this in one or two interviews. And it was a BBC documentary called Welcome to Lagos.
Yeah, I think I saw that documentary.
And The name was Welcome to Lagos. So I was in my final year in the university. I was like, oh, beautiful. I'm actually going to Lagos next month there was this national conference that I was invited to speak. And I was so excited. So that, I think, was my first time, planning to come to Lagos. And so I was trying to search and just learn about Lagos. And I saw this beautiful documentary by BBC called Welcome to Lagos. And I opened it and I saw the Kuramo slum. I saw Makoko, another slum. Like, it was specifically focused on the most underserved, the most dilapidated parts of Lagos. And it struck me. Why would the BBC create a documentary and call it Welcome to Lagos, and you're showing...
I think that's what represents Lagos.
And you're showing the most underserved parts, this is not what you find in New York.
Yeah.
Or this is not the kind of documentary the BBC would do, would prepare, if they're trying to describe London.
So that gave rise to...
So that was where I heard about Makoko for the first time. So when I came for my National Youth Service, I said I wanted to visit that community to just see firsthand what it was like.
And we have to go on a break now. I like the tilt your story is going, and I'm sure you touch a few chords, but we'll go on a break now, and we'll see you guys in just a moment. Welcome back to Perspectives. As you were saying with your Makoko story.
Yeah, so that was how I learned about Makoko after watching the BBC documentary. I was very upset. So I told myself I was going to go in and figure and see what this community looks like. And so I went into that community sometime in 2011, and I was in shock. Right, I was inspired as well because I just saw the resilience of the youths, and the entrepreneurial spirit of the women and the men. I'm like, this is something that should be celebrated. These people need more. With education, they could achieve so much more.
High potential.
And so every other week, I would get my friends and we'll go in and we will have like study classes for the kids.
Oh, really?
And we start creating those little clusters of learning until I had about 3 months at the end of my service, and I was like, if I'm done, what happens? What happens to these kids?
I'm sure you must have gotten attached to them as well.
I was so attached. There were about 100 of them. Oh. And so I told myself I needed to get these kids into school because they had never been to school. They were
what age group?
They were 14, 11, 8 years. They had never been to school. And so I tried to raise funds, but I couldn't. No one would believe that this young 23-year-old boy would want to help children in the slum. So no company, no organization was interested in supporting. I got so frustrated because I was not even focused at work anymore. And so I had to quit my job at Zenith Bank, right? I left the bank, but it's a very long story, right? How that whole process happened, how my parents were worried, friends were concerned, what are you doing? But to cut that long story short, we launched the campaign. We got tones of people who just saw the genuinity of the openness we had as young people.
Compassion.
Yes, the empathy. Yeah. We created videos that were very, very raw and very honest. Saying we wanted to just get those 100 kids into school, and in 2 weeks we raised all the money that we needed.
You met your target.
We surpassed the target. We got 114 children into school.
Oh my goodness!
That was
into schools that were already down on ground.
Into schools, yeah. So we partnered with a number of schools. We partnered with the government as well.
Good.
And that journey started from 2012. I got the Lagos State Honors as the Lagos State Award as the most outstanding copper. In 2012, it came with a job. It came with some money, and that was how we registered Slum to School.
Okay. It came with a job.
It came with a job with the ministry, but I didn't take the job.
Okay.
Because
You stayed focused.
Yeah, I wanted to be focused on this. But Slum to School after then has grown. We've worked with over 20,000 volunteers. We've reached over 625,000 children.
Wow. Not just in Nigeria, though. You must be...
Yeah, we're scaling into other parts of Africa as well. We've partnered with over 300 local international organizations, from the Microsofts to UNICEF to the United Nations to Facebook, Google. We've attracted all kinds of local and international recognitions.
Amazing.
But what's most important is the impact on the lives of these children.
Yes, of course.
Exactly.
Those first set of children we enrolled, we call them learners, in 2012. Many of them are in the university, done with secondary schools, learning various skills. A number of them are married.
Oh, that's
Okay,
good.
that's amazing.
Yeah, a few of them dropped out, and it's because it's also a cultural.
Of course.
Tell us one of your most touching case study.
There's so many.
Tell us one.
There's so many. I think
From slum to school to marriage.
I've shared a number of them.
Yeah,
so-
but do you have a long-standing relationship with some of them, at least up to now?
all of them.
You know about their weddings,
All
the
of
attending
them.
their weddings, their
All of
children.
All of them.
Because
All
it
of
must be
them.
like that for the Christmas.
Yeah.
All of them.
Is that close to half a million?
So speaking about, you know, a very touching one that is close to me. So there's a video we shot in 2012, and this was at the peak where we just did not have anyone wanting to support. So I had this BlackBerry phone, and I shot those videos on YouTube, you know, with this young man called Tope.
Okay.
He was the one narrating. Then he was, he's almost my age mate, but he had lived in the community all his life. And so we said, let's try and see how we can just tell people this story so that they can support these 100 kids. And so we shot that video and we put it on YouTube, right? He got married this year, and he made me the chairman of his wedding.
Okay. Congratulations
that's so
to
sweet.
Tope.
Yeah, so he's the head of the community volunteers. He's worked with us over 10 years. He's
Yeah,
a
because he's
full-time.
a beneficiary of your,
Exactly.
of your
Like
philanthropy.
we have examples like that as well. There's a current head of programs in our foundation, Nana Kalu. He was actually an alumni in our set 2004 set.
Okay.
So from what he learned at the foundation, he went on to go to university. And then when we were looking to recruit a head of programs, who do I see? Nana
Yeah,
Kalu, you know, who was... And then Mohammed Ali, he came through us, the foundation, because he loved dancing, and then discovered ICT. He went on to study ICT, computing in Edo State University or somewhere like that. And now he worked with Mikano, you know, a very
Wow.
quite a
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
well-paid job.
Yeah.
And he's now into politics, but to help the community, helping. He just told me the other day, like you know the children we see around Adeola Odeku, you know, begging. He got them all together, got them a space to live, work to do, you know. So it's really
Because he did say
touching
that
when
they sleep on the- they sleep on the
sleep on the
beach.
streets and all that. So
My God.
when you see that the work you do, you know, the
The
impact,
ripple
the
effect.
ripples,
Correct.
exactly. It's so,
Gratifying.
very, very. And to give, giving is not only just money, or it's when you give of your time, you know, just take the
Correct.
time to sit with them, listen to them, guide them. It's,
Yeah.
Love that.
it's,
It must be so
Otto,
self-fulfilling.
you mentioned that the act of giving was taught by your parents, or when you were in the community, the environment of giving, as that's where you learned it from. It's been said that those who give actually were taught to give. They learned it. They've been in the environment, and we're hearing that from your success stories. You guys have given to people, and you've taught them to be able to give back to the society.
Yes.
But Nigerians
I'm so
are
impressed with that.
Nigerians are givers, right?
Absolutely.
And you know, we were in Rwanda last 2 months for the African Philanthropy Conference.
Okay.
And when you mention philanthropy, it sounds like a foreign idea. It sounds like some European.
In Rwanda?
No, I'm
No,
saying
in general.
in general,
In general.
when we mention the word philanthropy and
Okay.
giving, you know, but growing up, we can remember that our parents, our uncles, our aunties, it's Christmas period. You go into any home and you're leaving with the gifts.
You're welcome.
Yes.
Right? Your doors are open. You know, we've all been to different parts of the world. I tell my friends that one of the reasons why Americans love dogs and love pets so much is because there's no community. You know, that's what gives them companionship. Because at the age of 16, 17, 18, most of them are disconnected with their families. You know, and so before they get married, before they have, you know, partners, all they might have is a dog or 2 dogs or 3 dogs. But here at the age of 20, 30, today people are traveling to all parts of the, you know, of their villages. That community is still there. And it's all part of philanthropy because everybody's in one way or the other thinking about how can we help the other, how can we, it's not only when we give to help a child get access to education, You know, just asking a friend, have you eaten?
Yeah, exactly. Even I'm
know,
always
it's a
so
daily
surprised.
thing.
In Nigeria, they're like, "Oh yeah, when you're eating, come and eat now. Come and eat
Yeah,
with me."
yeah,
you know,
yes.
it's unheard of in well.
In
You
fact,
know,
when you see all of them eating from the same pot and the same
Correct.
soup, and even when they're dividing the meat, okay, you are older, you take this bigger piece, you take this smaller piece. But what I find quite depressing though is that because of the state of the economy, I think compassion to a certain extent has, you know, not, I won't say erode, has been eroded.
Eroded, yeah.
It's somewhat depreciated because the more problems you are burdened with,
True.
do you understand?
What's that word you said earlier? Donor fatigue.
donor fatigue.
Yeah, donor
Yes,
fatigue, yes. There's donor
yes.
fatigue. So it's like, oh, please. You know, it's
Again,
one
them
church
again.
or one thing or the other. And you want to give, but sometimes you're like, yeah.
When you're approached with
Yes,
so much.
sometimes you're exhausted. And you're
Exactly.
thinking, please. But, you know, the truth of the matter is that no matter how much you give or how little you give, still give something.
Of course.
I think donor fatigue is a luxury that we can say because at the end of the day, we are not lacking. But always remember that even 10 naira or 20 naira or 15 naira.
And
Yeah,
even just of your
kindness.
time, you know, we have
Yeah,
like a
yes,
volunteer,
also the time
Miss
volunteering,
Afolabi,
yes.
who comes every Wednesday. He comes and she teaches the kids literature. You know, she comes, she makes the effort. She can just stay at home. She's retired. She doesn't need to. But, you know, just the act, you know, sharing your heart. It's just, it's the heart. You know, it's...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's... and we have a big heart. Nigerians have big hearts, you know, so...
Absolutely. Just a bit of challenges here and there has caused, you know, some differences in the act of kindness and giving. But I'm so appreciative that you both went into education. It's the second most important segment in philanthropy. And when we look at historic philanthropists, I don't know if you know of Andrew Carnegie.
Carnegie?
Yes, okay, Carnegie.
Isn't it?
Yeah, so he was the
One built the libraries.
educationist that
Right.
built 2,500 libraries in the United States.
Yes.
Highly impressive. But I look at Nigeria today, 2022, we're approaching 2023, and I can't say there's a comfortable library I can go to anywhere in Nigeria. And going to libraries was a thing for me. I studied, I learned in libraries, you know, when I travel abroad. Do you think your foundation can have that? Is it part of the plan somewhere?
Well, you know, we, like Otto, we partner with, I should rather say like Slum to School. Yes.
Yeah.
The Brume Foundation is also in partnership with the U.S. Consul, and we do have an American corner in our youth center. And in there, there's a whole, it's more U.S. related books, but there's a whole library where people can come for free to sit down, use the computers, and also read the books, you know. So that is already ongoing. But as we're also opening another youth center in Surulere, we intend to build a hall where we would, our aim is to have, to have a library.
Yeah.
Good news in my ears right now. So needed.
Books are very important.
So important.
We've always built libraries in schools and early childhood development centers, STEM and innovation labs, because we understand that every school should have a library.
Absolutely.
They're very important. In our innovation hub in Lekki, like she said, we have a library as well. We also have an American window, which also has a library. I've always loved books. Although these days we get too busy, we don't have the time to read. But in fact, even this Christmas, I created a Christmas tree.
Okay.
Made of books.
Books.
Yeah.
Really?
I wish we could see a picture.
I would share. Of course, I'm going to share pictures. I think it's about 525 books.
That's interesting. Fantastic.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah,
I'm sure you've read some of them.
Of course,
if
a
not
lot of
most,
them.
if not all.
A lot of them. And the idea is, you know, why I actually wanted to create it was just to make people understand how important, you know, the reading culture still
The
is.
children need to have that. It's so
Yeah,
important.
they do.
But how do you get their attention away from this phone?
They're
so attached to all this social media, internet, whatever.
I feel phones are important.
Yeah, it's
Technology is here to stay. We need to see it as an ally and not an adversary.
Yeah, but how do you now get to read books?
I think it's just developing that culture.
Okay.
and making them passionate about
Correct.
it.
Yes.
You know,
We're going to the break soon. We'll be right back
Okay.
to Perspectives. So welcome back to Perspectives. You know, just during the break, we were asking whether, you know, it's nice and honky-dory to talk about this, what you've done and how far you have gone. But the pertinent question still remains. Obviously, you can't afford to do this on your own. So what kind of financial support do you get, and what kind of challenges have you faced in trying to raise funds? Let's start with you, Otto.
So those challenges have always been there from the onset. We have a great opportunity. You know, it's called the window of opportunity. I mean, as a nation, this is the most important time for us to invest in the education of our young people.
I agree.
It is not just a responsibility of non-governmental organizations or the private sector or philanthropy, it's the responsibility of the government as well.
Absolutely.
And what we do is to complement the effort of the government. We are one of the fastest growing nations in the world. One of the fastest, top 5. Africa and Nigeria, of course, has the highest youthful population. Nigeria is going to be the 3rd most populous nation. These are data that we have said so many times. Everyone knows of this. How can we ensure that we are investing in this growing youthful population? Education plays a vital role.
Absolutely.
And education, you know, today we hear lots of young people say education is a scam, and it's because we have not invested in the right kind of education. Nigeria has a huge opportunity, and I think it's our responsibility as individuals, as the private sector, the public sector, the civil society, to really hone in and focus on delivering the education of the future, right? And of course, we want everyone to come on board and work with us. We have been very committed. I think our volunteers, thousands of volunteers across the country have
touch on how people can.
Yeah, volunteerism is a great way. You can. We're currently actually recruiting volunteers for the 2023 year.
On your website?
Yeah, slumtoschool.org/volunteer.
Okay.
We've had thousands.
slumtoschool.org/volunteer.
We've had thousands of volunteer applications already, and interviews are currently going on because we are very big on the structure of volunteerism. It's not just show up and disappear. We get you really involved, really engaged. For a couple of months or a couple of years.
What do the volunteers do?
There's so many things. We have 30 teams. That is
how much time do volunteers have to give you?
It's also flexible. It's flexible.
So what are the kind of timing?
From 5 hours to 20 hours to we have.
It just depends on the availability.
Correct. We have volunteers from those who work with the learners, to child support, to partnerships, to communications. Literally everybody can volunteer.
Child support, at what stage do you need child support?
Multiple stages. So
tell me, give me a scenario.
From literacy and learning to psychosocial support to medical and healthcare to...
You're sending volunteers to support someone's child? Someone that is...
No, the learners, the children, the students.
Okay.
We work with, so the community, so we call it childcare supports, and so from the period where we profile a child who is not in school to getting that child enrolled into a school and supporting that child through his or her learning journey, there are multiple opportunities for volunteers to get involved. And so we provide these opportunities for volunteers. We ensure that there's room for everybody to get involved in some way. Financial support is also a huge opportunity where people could come in, supporting the child through a year. It costs about 100,000 naira for a whole year, and that provides
to support the child is about 100,000 naira.
And that provides all kinds of school supplies that the child would need. Besides that, psychosocial supports, medical supports,
health as well.
Yes. Can we have? Yes.
It's quite similar.
How much would it be to support a child? How much can you donate to support a child?
Between 300,000 naira to 500,000
per child per year.
Per year, and it covers. This is under the Project No Excuses scholarship scheme. It covers education, so we buy all their books, school uniforms, plus 2 sets of normal clothes. And then there's also the health benefits. They're insured. They're covered. The health protection. And then there's also, what else does Project No Excuse have? For example, in regards to the health protection, unfortunately, we lost a child 2 years ago.
Oh my word!
Our volunteer took her to the hospital because her sponsor, because we get them to meet their sponsors as well, you know, regularly, every quarter if possible, and those who are not here via Zoom. Her sponsor noticed that she looked a bit skinny, there was something strange, so he recommended to us, go and get her checked up medically. And it turns out that she has like a heart deficiency. We informed the parents, and the parents were like, okay, yes. They started the treatment, but midway between the treatment, no, it's not that they couldn't afford it, because our health scheme was, but midway between the treatment, I guess the father was afraid, and he just stopped the girl going to the hospital, and unfortunately we lost her.
Was this girl?
We lost her. It was really, we were affected by it, especially our volunteer, you know, who would go and visit her.
No, but why did he stop her though?
You know, for his reasons. You know, he was afraid that something would happen to her in the hospital. You know, sometimes they prefer to take them to the village to be treated. God, you know, so there's there are different, a lot of challenges. I mean, that we do face when we cannot replace the parents, we cannot replace the government, so we do as much as we can. You know, we really do as much as we can, but sometimes you can't.
How old was she? Most of your kids are under 18, I would assume.
Yes. She was around precious. I think she was 13. She was around 13.
Yes.
So at what age did they stop being under your care?
Once they finish secondary school, you know, but even after secondary school, we have some who are still involved, you know, because we have created like a home.
You run the place.
Yes, so they volunteer, they come, you know, we are moving stuff from Victoria Island to Surulere, they are there, all the guys carrying the cartons. So we've created like an alternative home for them, you know.
But what's the address of your website so that people can
oviebrumefoundation.org, www.ovie, O-V-I-E, Brume, B-R-U-M-E, Foundation, F-O-U-N-D-A-T-I-O-N.
No, I think they can spell foundation.
Well, oviebrumefoundation.org. So we're here, really, we continue the work. We can't stop.
But have there been times, even as the pioneers of these NGOs, you yourself have had challenges? I've been overburdened with the challenges of your wards.
So there are several opportunities when you feel down yourself, and that's why structure is important.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
For example, at Slum to School, we have a governance structure that involves the governance team, the advisory board, the management team, the management support team. We're currently just setting up an executive council. We have staff, we have volunteers. All of this structure is put in place to ensure that the job is not dependent on one person.
One person, yes.
And it can supersede
of course, I don't even make decisions, you know, alone at the organization. But I have to get approval from several structural, you know, layers, and that's important because there are times you wake up in the morning and you don't feel like doing a thing, or
you have your own personal issues.
Correct, and so it's very important to have those structures, and that's why we invite people to come in as partners, as volunteers, as supporters to these learners and these children. You know, in any way you can get involved, it's important because there's a huge gap that's out there, and if we don't all put our hands, roll up our sleeves,
and together one voice. But in this celebration of Christmas, what are you guys doing with some of your wards? Do you have any plans?
Well, we've already had our Christmas party.
Oh, how was that?
It was great, really great fun.
Wonderful.
They were able to showcase what they have done in their drama club. So we actually, a youth corper in Kem, they worked for rehearsing for 5 months. She adapted the book, The Girl with the Louding Voice by Abi Dare, which treats early forced child marriage. So they acted it out, and then also dance competition, rapping.
Fantastic.
And we gave bags of rice, because we know the situation in Nigeria. 10-kilo bag of rice plus oil to 150 children.
That's fantastic.
Anyway,
thank you guys for coming. Thank you.
Excellent work from both of you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
And it's encouraging to know that there are more like you out there, really making a difference in the lives of many. And I think that this is just, a tip of the iceberg.
And one more thing, I'm expecting my Christmas gift, season of giving.
Oh, okay. We will practice what we're preaching. So thank you so much for coming again.
Thank you. I really
and
enjoyed it.
then Merry Christmas to our audience. I hope that you guys have a wonderful festive season. And like I said, giving doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be rich to give. Whatever you have, give. Good. See you again next time. And this is Ruth Osime. And remember, life is a learning curve.
And I'm Majekodunmi-Oniru. As you go about your daily life and ambitions, be that special rainbow that brightens the world. Thank you for watching Perspectives. Enjoy your celebrations and see you next weekend. Goodbye.